Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to shows and read reviews online at wcbe.org.
I'm John DeSando,
I'm Jordan Amalami.
and this is It's Movie Time.
All
And
right.
boy, are we here for a purpose, Jordan,
We
because I
are.
don't know anybody else but the two of us who have seen The Killing of Two Lovers.
Yeah, it seems like it debuted 2 years ago at Sundance.
That's right.
And a lot of people loved it, and then they put it on the shelf because they wanted to wait for movie theaters to reopen, and so it's
that's
been
the
sitting.
reason. Yeah.
And it's finally starting to make its way back out. So I'm
'Cause
very excited you encouraged watching it because, yeah.
I mean, it's such a good little film. You know, when I talk about a little film, little indie.
Oh, and little for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It
And
is,
and
yeah.
just because most of the people watching will not, or listening, won't have seen it, can you give them just a thumbnail sketch of what's going on here?
Sure. Yeah, it's The Killing of Two Lovers. That I think that's a title that can be taken in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
And, to be applied to different characters and things within the movie. Yet, super small film. Takes place in a really small town in Utah, and essentially you jump right in where a couple has split up, and they are trying to work through their issues, but the wife has started to see someone, which they had agreed was okay, but the husband is not okay. He's
He's not happy with it.
as you would think, or as he maybe even thought he would be. So it's basically just a few days of their situation in the midst of all of that, and man, I'm just gonna say I loved this movie so much.
I know, me too. I'm so glad.
much.
This is Clayne Crawford plays David,
Yeah.
and apparently he's a TV guy.
Well, started as a kind of movie and theater guy, and then made some a name for himself doing some shows, but then also made more of a name for himself from exiting. He did the Lethal Weapon show where
That's
he played
right.
Riggs, the
That's right.
Mel Gibson character, and was on the show for a few seasons. And apparently there were some issues with him getting along with people and causing issues, and they fired him. And that was his biggest role to date. But he seems to be kind of one of those guys that's a Johnny Depp type or something, where he's got a pretty face and he's got talent, but he doesn't necessarily want to be a superstar type guy. This is a movie for him.
So not a whole lot of energy right there.
Yeah.
Now he reminds me of a role that Casey Affleck might play.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then his wife, I'll give you this one.
Mm-hmm.
His wife reminds me of Deborah Winger.
Oh, that's really good. That's cool. Yeah, I like that. This is definitely a Deborah Winger type of movie for sure.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Utah. I think it's Kenosha, Utah. With
Population of 360.
I think recently it's up to 600.
Yeah, is it? Okay.
I lived in a small town of 2,000 in Vermont, and I thought that was really small.
Yeah.
But the director Robert McCollin.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll just have to pick
mention
one and go with
Yeah,
it.
I know.
Because I'm not sure either. But an interesting guy.
Yeah.
He's made a ton of short films and some small features and stuff. He seems to write for where he lives, is what I read. That where he lives, he'll write a movie for that kind of area and stuff.
Yeah.
And so he was as you would appreciate, I'm sure, it become a professor.
Yes,
recently,
exactly. Yeah, so interesting.
Yeah.
Now the way you talked about it, I couldn't improve upon that. You were reminding me how tight this film is.
It's shot in 4:3, which you don't see a lot of,
Yeah.
and is apparently meant to give you that claustrophobic feel. They shot the whole film in 12 days, and speaking of him being a professor, he's a professor of photography, and it's not just performances in this movie. It's not just story. The sound and the visuals are incredible.
You are so right. How about that sound of the door opening and closing?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a musical track.
Yeah, it is, and it's like played throughout to give this unnerved feel, and what I think is maybe like a gun. It sounded like maybe possibly a revolver also.
Oh, okay, yeah. I couldn't.
It seemed like there were a few different sounds. The door thing, and I think a revolver type of spin or something like that. But just making you unnerved.
Yeah,
throughout.
they're dissonant sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Not even like music, but they're laid in there as if they were music. Yeah.
Yep.
And then, George, if it isn't super close-ups, which he loves of his central character, holy gosh, it's set against the mountains.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much they did everything. Pretty much there's a scene in the truck where they're on their like pseudo date thing,
Yes.
where they do some back and forth close-ups, and pretty much the rest of that. I was listening to an interview with Klain, and he said that he wanted the director to essentially, or he told him it would be like he wanted to create living photographs for the
Boy,
scenes.
that's a
And
great description.
Yeah,
That's exactly what
it is. It really is.
And then I felt too, and even with the ending, that in my review, I kind of talked about the mountains are always there.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. They're in transition.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, I wouldn't even say menacing, but when you see them set against the mountains, there's something diminishing about them, something again about the durability of the mountains and the lack of durability in their own relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and boy, he does. And it's got a noirish quality to it.
Yeah, that's a great call. It really is. It does, for sure.
And noir doesn't always have to have murder, but the opening scene is one where it's potential murder.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It's one of those. I am sure that John DeSanto is someone who gets to the movie early all the time. And stuff.
Is that right?
But I kept thinking in this movie, if you miss the first 2 minutes of
good
that
point.
movie, it is a totally not a different movie, but that is such that opening scene, that just opening couple minutes is like, oh my god, and then. But then if you just walk in while he's jogging down the road,
Yes,
then the whole rest of the movie feels a little different. And
George, I had to go back because I couldn't tell whom he was going to shoot at the beginning.
Right.
Whether it was his wife or the boyfriend.
Yeah.
But the second time around, it looks like he's going to shoot the boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for me, George, after I got through the locale and the photography and all the minimalism of the whole darn movie, I began thinking, this is a really good movie about contemporary dysfunction.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's the thing. And that's why I love this movie, is you can love it for so many reasons. And obviously we keep saying love and we're excited by it, but it's a depressing movie. Like it's not, but in a beautiful, real way that just feels, like when you get, just a movie about separation of a couple, it does. I don't know if it can feel much more real than that.
For those of us who've been that route sometimes, absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
And particularly in the case of the male she's moving on, he's not.
Yeah.
And so he's feeling it much more than she is.
Yeah, some of that dialogue with that, it's just, I haven't been through that serious of a thing, especially with kids involved, but it just feels the way that he's saying, if you're not, I'm thinking about this all the time. I'm thinking about us
yes, he does
all the
say
time.
That. Yeah, he does.
And if you're not, cut me loose.
Yes.
And that just feels so real. I don't know. It's beautiful.
And besides being a very good look at contemporary marriages and love, it's also about contemporary families. Because you've got Jess, the just archetypal teen.
Yeah.
Scowling teen, wants out of this whole thing,
but loves her parents. So
yes.
A lot of her angst comes from a genuine love of her parents,
and does not understand the difficulty of what they're going through. Why don't you just stay together?
Right.
Grandma and Grandpa did.
Exactly. Which is just it's that simplism of a child where we wish that we could live in that that mindset, but also know that it's just not realistic for life experience.
And the good thing about setting it in a small town in Utah is that you're able to focus on that. That's all there really is. When they're going to a hardware store, that hardware store selling washing machines.
Right.
And also is going out of business.
Right.
This is a small town.
Yeah.
But
you still feel that it's fun, because I like that they still have that. They're looking at Wi-Fi connected washing machine. There's still
that's right.
It
good.
still
that's
feels
right.
a little modern.
That's right.
Connection to the world.
Yeah, they can't be totally isolated from
Right.
it. That's true. The washing machine is weighted.
Yeah.
So it tells you how.
Yeah. Why don't you just? Isn't that what the cup's for? You just pour the soap in the cup. Well, you don't need a cup now, right?
All right, Jordan. The movie is Killing of Two Lovers. What would you advise our audience?
To see this movie, for sure. It is only less than 90 minutes, so you know, just if you're gonna take a chance on what's, you know, an independent film that, you maybe would normally, just give this movie your time.
And it's the kind of movie that we love.
Yeah.
And not everybody does, because it is a downer, it is dark, it is noirish.
Yeah,
But
but
there's-
try to pay attention to the nuance of it, cause it's
Right,
just,
right.
you